Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
Well, the Minnesota Fishing Challenge recently took place on Gull Lake and raised a record amount, $512,000. That's amazing. And to learn more about it, the honorary tournament director joins us now, Hall of Famer Steve Pennaz, host of Lake Commandos. He's also known from North American Fisherman, Not Wars, but soon he's going to be catapulted into even more fame and fortune with his appearance on this summer's Taz TV. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good, down in Orlando, and I don't know if the lawnmower just started as we're here. So can you hear that?
I don't hear it.
If you don't hear it, let me know. I might have to move inside, but I wanted to enjoy the heat from Florida heat right now.
So you're in Orlando. How hot is it, first of all? Because summertime in Florida sounds terrible.
Today is not bad. Yesterday was 97, so it was brutal. I mean, you melt walking out of the building. So, yeah. But not bad today. We got some clouds. It'd be a good day to be fishing.
But why you're down there, though, makes it all worth it. Tell us why you're down there.
Well, my son Pierce has been competing in gymnastics for Special Olympics since he was like 8 or 9, and he a team Minnesota this year to compete in the USA Games, and so he's been competing the last 3 days. It was pretty awesome. He ended up winning a gold overall and a couple silvers yesterday, and then he had his last 3 events today. So we'll see how he did tomorrow.
That's awesome. You cut out just a little bit, but it's the Special Olympics Olympic Games going on down there, right?
Yeah, they call it the USA Games. There's almost 3,000 athletes from all over the country. I saw Alaska, Hawaii, and Florida, and New York, and I mean, it's Texas, everything. It's just a fun event.
Pierce has his own Facebook page, and I have to read what his bio is on there, because this is great. It's Pierce the Beast. He's been destroying the definition of Down syndrome since day one. Fearless and funny. This fan of WWE girls, classic rock, and meat sticks is showing the world what it means to lead from the heart. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is he there?
He's not. He's back at the hotel, and they're heading to Wild Kingdom this afternoon after the competition ended. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience. It'll be in Minnesota in 4 years, and if you haven't had a chance to actually check out Special Olympics, I highly recommend anybody in Minnesota to volunteer to be part of this.
It's coming to Minnesota in 4 years, really?
Yeah, it's going to be based on probably the University of Minnesota campus, and then all around that area. But it's not like youth sports. It's not like professional sports. You're out there cheering for everybody, and it's just a lot of smiles, a lot of happiness. It's a pretty cool time. So
is he planning? Can he be a part of it in 4 years again?
We'll see. I mean, it's pretty rare to be invited once, let alone twice. And so he played as unified basketball in 2018 in Seattle, and then this year he actually competed as a gymnast. So we'll see. I'd like to get him into powerlifting. He's such a brute. But one of the guys today deadlifted over 600 pounds.
Oh, boy.
Incredible.
Wow. So how long had he been working for this? I mean, so you obviously didn't expect this? This was kind of a surprise, or?
Well, when he was 10, he was actually invited to apply to be on Team USA. His gymnast abilities at the time were outrageous because he was so small and so strong for his weight. I mean, he was rocking through all the competitions. He was winning golds in almost every event, if not all, in some competitions. And then COVID hit, and all of the special needs, all the Special Olympics events, all the unified sports events just shut down. And he's been sitting around too many days at home, and has put on a little bit of weight, and it just made him difficult to compete at the level that he has in the past. But yeah, he did well. I was real proud of him.
Yeah, what was your favorite moment?
Well, he did a vault that was just he ran down the track at about 100 miles an hour, jumped on the thing and went way in the air, landed, stuck the landing, and he just knew it. He just went. It was fun.
That
was fun.
Well, yeah. I know you posted some videos on your Facebook page. It was fun to follow along virtually down there. So, congratulations. And congratulations on the recent Minnesota Fishing Challenge, $512,000. Man.
Absolute new record. I give Bernie Berenger an amazing, he's doing an amazing job, that entire team at Minnesota Delta Team Challenge. They're having an 80% success rate with clients breaking with addiction, and that's unheard of in the thing. And you get to see the choirs up there. Sam Anderson's leading it, and I tell you what, if you ever sit in that auditorium, or that's Heritage Church, and listen to some of the testimonies from Teen Challenge, and listen to them sing, and see the difference that this event, or this organization and this event, are having and changing lives and families, it's pretty powerful. So if you haven't fished yet, put it on your calendar next year, that first week in June, and just commit to being part of it.
Yeah, I think I did it when I was living up there. I did it. I think it was 2015 when I was a part of it, and I'd love to be back. My summers get a little crazy, but I just really enjoyed the event, and I really respect what it's all. Tell our listeners and our viewers here just a little bit more background about why this event takes place and what it benefits. So
Minnesota Adult Teen Challenge is a faith-based drug and alcohol treatment program. Addiction affects a lot of families. It affects my family and virtually every family. And the nice thing about this program is it works. They really do a great job. Started this event 14 years ago. As you know, and I know, spending a lot of time behind the windshields, you get a chance to think and things. And he had a chance to, just develop this idea about the Minnesota Fishing Challenge. Jim Calcafin from the PW2 got involved, and we put together a very professional event, and it's just been amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. I think the first year we raised 30 or 40 or 50,000 or something, and last year was 444,000, and this year 512. I mean, Bernie has put so much into this. I mean, he was virtually in tears. It's incredible.
This is raised obviously from people that are participating, but then also you have some donors, I'd assume, that like giving money to this.
Yeah, there's been it's title sponsored by Fleet Farm, and Sea Foam is involved, and a number of companies are involved. But majority of this money is being raised by the actual teams. That team with Rich and those guys are up there. They've raised over $1 million in the last 12 years. That's one of the reasons that we celebrated that at the event. And a number of teams are raising, 10, 15, 20, 25,000. And I think that's where it came together, where it's just, I think people feel that connection with the men that are up there, and they feel the connection. They know they're making a difference. And when you can fish for both men and for the Lord, it's a pretty powerful weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That takes place on Gull?
Yeah, the Gull Lake chain. So everybody fishes Round and Roy and all that whole thing. So it's a nice tournament because you can fish walleye, you can fish bass, you can fish multi-species, you can target panfish and things. There's Mark and Grady. They had a nice bag this year. They had just over 11 pounds on largemouth. And on an average day, I mean, even if you don't know the lake, you can go out there and catch 30, 40, 50 largemouth. The fishing's just phenomenal.
So if somebody wants to be a part of it next year, whether they want to be a sponsor or get a team together, what do they need to do?
Just go to Minnesota Fishing Challenge and check out the website, or go to Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. There's actually the North American Fishing Challenge. I think it's next week, where you can fish. It's an all online tournament and still participate and still be involved, and you still get a chance to win a boat by raising at least $500 in support of the event. But that's another way to get involved, and it's still an opportunity available right now.
Okay, great. Well, as I get older and I do different things, I look back every once in a while on different jobs I've had or jobs I never got. And I don't remember all the exact details, but it must have been right out of high school. I interviewed for a job somehow. I don't know how I heard about it, but I think it was North American Fishing or North American Fishing Club or something like that.
Really?
And I remember walking in and they said, "Okay, we need you to sit down at this computer and see how fast you type." I don't remember what the job was, what it was for, but they tested my words per minute for my typing abilities, and I was like, "Oh, all right, this is a pretty cool fishing job." Do some typing. I didn't get the job, so apparently I didn't type fast enough, but But yeah, so I don't remember what
I never
year
knew
that
that.
was.
I never knew that story. That's funny.
Yeah, so that was a while ago. But I'm excited to get you up to Taz Lake this year, Steve.
Looking forward to it. It's only a couple of weeks away, and then I can get out of the Florida heat. And what I love about heading to the far north, and I've never been on Taz, and that's one of the things that we do on Lake Commandos is we try to figure out new bodies of water. But when you've got a lake with lake trout up to 70-some pounds, and you've got these pike that are 45, even 50 inches or more, I mean, who doesn't want to go there and enjoy just phenomenal fishing? And so it'll be fun.
So you're going to face off against Danny Thompson from Garmin.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you've got strategies. Maybe you can talk about them right now. Maybe you're holding them a little close, keeping them secret right now. But it's going to be real clear water. It was a late spring, so the ice, we were looking at satellite imagery here this week. The ice looks like it's finally ice-free. There's still a little bit of ice hanging on here pretty late, but I think it's all ice-free now. So the water temps should be, by the time you get there, they should be getting into that, mid-60s. You should be sitting pretty good.
Oh, that warm. I'm a little concerned about would be up in the Back Bay, but maybe it's going to slide out already.
Yeah. We lost you there for just a second, but if you were talking about warming waters in the Back Bays, that's definitely what we're a little worried about as well too. But it's some pretty nice temperatures up there, some warmer temps. I think it was 66 here was the high the other day. So no real. It's going to be 60s and 40s for the overnight. So it's going to be slow going, but it should be warming up. But real clear water up there. I don't know how much weed growth there will be yet. But based on that, how do you think you would attack a new body of water?
If we're going to target pike, one of the things that I've learned a long time ago is that the big pike don't like to chase. And you can catch them on spoons, you can catch them on some of the traditional minnow baits and things like that. But I've found that these big fish are actually not apt to chase as much, especially the bigger fish. I'll tell you a story. Years back, we were on a lake in northern Manitoba. And we got off the plane. There was still ice on the main lake. This was a June trip as well. And we pulled into a Back Bay, and I threw a bait out. I threw an inline spinner, I think. And we had several big fish. We're talking 17, 18, 19, 20-pound pike follow the bait to the boat. But the only ones we could get to bite were these 5-6-pounders. And what happens is in the evenings, everything cools down, the water cools down, and as soon as that sun comes up, it's very intense, that dark water bays, dark bottom, and that water temperature explodes going up. And those big fish don't warm as fast as the slow fish. So they're in a situation where they're not acclimated to the water, and they're not so active. But if you leave those fish alone and go back in the afternoon, it can be absolutely lights out. So my plan is to scout in the morning and kill the big fish in the afternoon. Not kill them, but really target them with presentations that allow them to bite.
Isn't it funny how as you get older and you fish different bodies of water and you catch a few big fish? I remember growing up and having a day full of 5 and 6 pound northerns and just being jacked about it.
Yeah.
And they're fun fish. They're always going to be a fun
absolutely.
fish, 5-6 pound fish. But after you catch, especially after you spend some time in the north and in some of those Canadian lakes where you start getting into the 40-plussers, you get a little spoiled after a while.
Absolutely. There's something about giant pike that I just absolutely love them. I've been chasing them for well over 30 years now, and it's every time you see one of those fish that comes in and you try to get your hand over the back and you can't get to it because it's too big, and you got to hold it up under the belly just to support it. Those are fun fish.
Well, with that clear water up there, the goal is to get you sight fishing for some of these big pike. And I'm guessing you've done that before, but it is some of the most exciting fishing I've ever been a part of.
I'm amazed when you look across the bay and you see this log on the bottom and you throw a bait next to it just out of habit, and all of a sudden that log turns and starts following. That's when things get fun.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we've sat there going, is that a log?
Yeah.
And then you see it move just a little bit. And
yeah, when in doubt.
My favorite story is Barry Prawl, one of the owners up at Taz that you'll meet when you get up there. he's kind of a reserved guy. He doesn't get real animated, doesn't get real excited. And I was fishing at Tazin with him a couple of years ago, and we were sight fishing, and he was in the back, and he was kind of slowly back trolling a little bit. And all of a sudden, I heard more. It was just noises coming out of his mouth. He wasn't even forming words. And it was the biggest pike he'd ever seen in his life. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Brett!" And I was actually throwing a streamer fly at it, and trying to pick it off with a little bit more subtle presentation. And he's like, "Oh, it's turning!" And there's like 30 syllables in the word "turning" that he's spitting out at me because he's so excited. And I ended up hooking into the fish. You can see it on one of the episodes of Taz and TV. I hook into it, and I'm freaking out because I can tell it's big, and it just is going wherever it wants. And I could see a branch coming up out of the water, and it was headed straight for whatever that log that was under the water there. And he wrapped on it and popped off. And at the time, that would have been the biggest pike I'd ever caught. I think I surpassed it last year with the 50-incher, but
you got a 50.
I got a 50 up there last year. Yeah.
I had a chance to fish a river in Alaska one time with a double buzzbait, and the camp had a rule of one hook. There's a lot of waterfall up there, so I started throwing a double buzzbait, bringing it across the surface, and the biggest pike I've ever seen, the biggest pike in the world, I don't know how big it was, came up and ate the double buzzbait, and I was shocked. I kind of waited till he turned, set the hook, and the bait came flying out of his mouth, and I gave the death stare to the guide, and who was also the owner of the lodge, and he said to me, "Go ahead," which means I could put my stinger hook on the buzzbait.
That's the worst. The top water stuff, I always set the hook way too early on them.
Is that right? Yeah.
Well, you get so excited.
This fish was well over 30 pounds. I don't know how many pounds it was, but it was long and fat. And I've had them up to 50 inches myself, and this thing was a class by itself. But
man,
yeah, good fish story.
Yeah, that's great. I ended up catching one a couple of years ago up there, and I could see it, and I think I was throwing like a MEPS number 5 big spinner, inline spinner, and I threw it out, and the water exploded immediately. And as I was bringing it in, I could see this pike following it, and it was huge. And yep. What happens a lot of times up there's so many little fish in there too that sometimes the little fish will sneak in front and bite that before the big one can get to it. And that's what happened. I saw this little one come in, and I'm like, doggone it, this little fish is going to come up and eat this thing in front of this monster. And he did. I think he was 41 inches was the little one.
Oh, the little fish.
The little one was 41. I couldn't believe it. That was one of the first years I was up there, and I was just kind of blown away by the whole thing. And, the pike fishing is incredible, but the lake trout is just unreal. Have you done a lot of big lake trout fishing, Steve?
I've had a chance to fish a lot of the big lakes like Williston and Reindeer and all that, and Newellton, and over the years. And I've had some giant lake trout. I haven't broken 40 I know I haven't broken 40. So I'm looking forward to it. But one of the things I like about lake trout, and one of the things I'm excited about going up there with Danny Thompson with Garmin, is we're going to bring a live scope with, and I want to see what's actually out there. I want to see how they respond to the presentation, and I want to see what we can do that maybe if we didn't have the electronics, just if it would open the doors for giants that we just didn't know were there.
Well, if the water's still a little bit colder, you might find the big ones a little bit shallower yet too. So it's a lot of fun when you hook into a 30-pounder in less than 30 feet of water or something like that. Hold on.
Yeah. The lake trout have a bad rap in the Great Lakes, but when you hook these giants in Saskatchewan, in Manitoba, or whatever, it's amazing because they really do fight.
Yeah, I didn't realize that about lake trout in the Great Lakes. And we did some sports shows a couple of years ago, and we were down in Chicago and Milwaukee, around Lake Michigan a little bit, and we'd show them these pictures of 50-pound lake trout or whatever. They're like, you got salmon? No, we got you see the banner?
Yeah.
See the banner behind me? The world record lake trout size. Those grease balls. I want some salmon. I'm like, oh, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, these are not your typical lake trout that we have up here.
Yeah. I've had a chance to fish Quebec a number of times, and it's amazing. You'll have a 3 or 4 pound brook trout on, which is a trophy brook trout in a lot of waters, and watch these 15, 20, 25 pound lakers smoke them like pike. It's pretty interesting.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to be filming Lake Commandos up there. So, for those that don't know what Lake Commando, what you do on Lake Commandos, the format, you and Danny are going to be kind of squaring off, right?
Yeah, it's our goal is to get to a new body of water and figure it out. I mean, we'll stand on the shores of Tazin and we're going to target pike, I think, first, and Danny will say, well, I think this is the technique that's going to work, and I'll say, no, that's totally wrong, and I'm going to go this route, and then we're going to go out and fish head to head to see who can catch the biggest fish. But one of the things that really the show is all about is about building patterns. So if we're after walleye, we may do soft plastics and cranks or live bait and jigs or something like that, and just see what's working. Tweaks we can make that are more productive than other guy. And it's really all about building patterns. And if you're looking at how to build patterns, that's a tough thing to learn. That's the way to do it.
It's a fun show to watch, and it's I love the idea behind it and the format of it. So I'm excited to see it in action on Tazin. And I just got something in the mail the other day that I'm going to bring up. It's what was it? The HD 127 or
HDI 725, I think.
HDI 7, the AquaView that I can run it down 125 feet. So
wow.
I'm going to try to get one of those big Lakers laying on the bottom down in 100 feet of water. I'm just going to try to get it on camera first, but I want to try to jig one off the bottom at 100 feet and get it on camera while I'm up there.
Yeah, the AquaView's products, they changed winter fishing, and now they're changing summer fishing. I mean, it's amazing what you learn by just kind of taking a peek under the surface. And I can tell you, one year we used the old-fashioned cameras that were connected, and we ran a spoon off the back, and we couldn't troll fast enough because the camera would wobble too much. At one point, we had 6 Lakers in a single file line behind the bait, and we never did trigger one, which was interesting.
Well, that's what's funny about lake trout is we've had big lake trout eat our lures after they've just eaten a 18, 19-inch fish. Like, they're so aggressive that they don't have to be hungry to get caught. But then I think a lot of times it's aggression, and it's also curiosity. And I've run some of those inline cameras and have had multiple fish chasing. And I remember one year up there, it was kind of windy and rainy, and there's a huge island in the middle of the lake with a lake inside the island. So if you get some wind, you can fish every day and just kind of back around out of the wind behind some different islands. So it was just going to be an action day. We were going to try to catch as many lake trout as we could in pike, and we were going to troll some shoreline and try to get underwater strikes on camera. And we went like a half hour without catching a fish, and we were all kind of looking at each other like, something is weird about this.
A full half hour, huh?
Yeah. Well, we're definitely spoiled up there. There's no doubt.
What?
Yeah. There's so many fish in this lake and no pressure. So that's how crazy it is. Like, if you want to catch, if you don't care about the size, you can go and catch. Generally, you can go. I mean, it's still fishing, but generally you can go catch a fish. And so I went back and I reviewed the footage, and for the full half hour, I had at least one lake trout and at times 2 different lake trout just following it. And I had some kind of spoon that was wobbling back and forth, and every once in a while,
like this.
Yeah, and every once in a while, it would swing to the right, and they'd miss to the left. And they were just off a little bit, just a little passive, or it would swing left and they'd miss to the right. But there was fish behind us the entire time, and without that camera, we would have had no idea.
Yeah. No, this winter we had a AquaView down in our fish house all winter, and just watching fish come through, bluegills and crappie and bass and everything. But when you actually can get in a situation where you've got wilderness fish, and these things may be 50, 60, 70 pounds, I mean, come on, is there anything better?
No, it's fun, and you can also use those cameras to see how your lure's running, and if it's running wrong, then it's your fault, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I got some new gear to bring up, so it's going to be an exciting season of Taz and TV, and I'm looking forward to the Lake Commandos maybe episodes. Where can people watch Lake Commandos?
So we air Q1 and Q2 on Outdoor Channel Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock this year, and then Q3, Q4, we're on World Fishing Network a number of times, 4, 5, 6 times a week, depending on the week. And then myoutdoortv.com has our entire library dating back. And I got a call from the Outdoor Channel just a while back, and they said that we're up to almost 500,000 minutes of downloaded Lake Commandos in the last 18 months, which is incredible. So people like the show. It's a fun show to watch. It's a fun show to produce. And I love waking up because we're not going out to do a crankbait show or a topwater show. We're going out, whatever the conditions show us and whatever we think is going to produce fish that day, so we can beat the guy that's in the boat or the gal that's in the boat with us. But at the same time, the whole goal is to build patterns and show people the art of building patterns from what you're seeing on the lake.
Yeah, and that's fun, and people are going to learn something from watching the show, of course, but we're totally ripping off your idea, by the way, Steve. Dan and I, and it's going to be just competition. I mean, we might learn something, but I just want to beat Dan at fishing, and Dan and I are going to do a Taz and TV Lake Commando episode this year. So
only going to be wanting that you're going to be doing.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good summer. I'm looking forward to having you up at Tazin. And Steve, good luck the rest of the time down there in Orlando. And congratulations again on the Minnesota Fishing Challenge. And thanks for the time today on the show.
Great. See you in a couple weeks.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts. 852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties, all in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.